Hello, it's Joel, and welcome to my sort of video audio review of the Titanfall 2 test weekend pre-alpha, whatever it was called. It was basically a multiplayer beta. I don't know why they just didn't market it as that, but whatever. Of course, there was a weekend previously just held there. I missed out on that because I was away, but I really got to hammer it out this weekend and sort of get my impressions down on the entire game, just the feel of the multiplayer. Not the entire game, obviously, but the feel of the multiplayer. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I just have to put that out there first, that I had a good time playing this. But obviously, I'd never played the first one, so this is the whole new novelty of the Titans, etc. had, quite an effect on me and my enjoyment. So obviously, a lot of people might not have found that. But, at its core, Titanfall 2's multiplayer is extremely arcadey. It's supposed to be fast paced. You're supposed to respawn quickly, get in there and just enjoy yourself and have the fun, and that's what I felt like I got with it anyway. But as this is just sort of impressions of the first multiplayer aspects, I'm not reviewing the full game or the campaign. It's not out for a while. I think late October. It's just sort of have to talk about the gameplay, graphics, sound, etc., and the sort of technical aspects of it, and also just the potential future for it. So up first, graphically, I wouldn't say that this was a bad looking game at all, but it looks exactly like the first one did, and that is extremely serviceable. Great lighting, great sense of detail in the guns and the environments. The Titans look impressive. The pilots look good. There's a good amount of detail, but again, it's the environments tend to look quite static and stuff. There's not a lot of interactivity with the environments, so it's not like you get with Battlefield where things are exploding, which I was quite sad about. But I think at the same time I understand why they have that, because it's all about the momentum system. But also that you get a very clear depth of field. Seeing other pilots, enemy pilots, is not hard, and it really does the job, and that's really what you're looking for in a game. I don't think that they, really it's anything of an issue at all to be addressing. In terms of sound, the sound during the weekend was very good for me. Guns don't sound realistic, but I don't think they're supposed to. This is, they're futuristic guns, so the reference points for them are, I couldn't imagine what they used to record them, but they sound good. The detail in the sound when enemies are approaching you is also a good thing. Sometimes when you're in environments and there's an enemy coming, you can hear it. Where bullets are being shot from. You get a good sort of, another depth of field with the sound, and that helps the gameplay. Regardless, music was very standard fare, sort of a mix of electronic with sort of orchestral bits and stuff like that. But again, talking about these elements isn't I don't think it's fully deserved because this isn't a full review. So I want to touch more on the gameplay, because there was a bit of controversy over the fact last weekend that the elements had sort of gone backwards in terms of what people were looking for. I didn't get to play that, but what I had heard was that getting Titans was too hard and the movement system was too slow. And I felt like if that was the problem, then they've definitely addressed that, because of the the speed of your player's movement, which I think was really essential, because you're dealing with maps that are quite large in scale. You need to be able to move around them quickly, apart from anything. And it also just helps the game stay fast paced and engaging. The passive the passive issue with getting the Titan, that's something that builds over time, even if you are not particularly good at the game, is really helpful. I found that throughout, usually every game where I was playing on one of the game modes that did include Titans, it would be at least 3 to 4 times I was getting a Titan. Sometimes I wouldn't last that long because I didn't time getting the Titan right. I got overpowered by multiple ones, or sometimes I would get attacked by multiple pilots. And also at the same time, I didn't feel like it was overpowered at all. And the way the maps work, obviously, is that you and the Titan are sort of siphoned around the map so that you can't get into some of the control points in Hardpoint particularly were like that. And I think that, obviously that's a good idea, and that was probably something carried over from Titan in terms of the game design, or Titanfall 1 in terms of the game design. That's something, they had to do. They didn't want to change that dynamic up too much. And I think there was 2 of the maps where you could get into the one control point in the middle in Hardpoint Amped Hardpoint, I think it was called, and that was good. I think because then you have the Titans sort of meeting in those points, which creates a good dynamic, and then the selling point of this game is the Titans. I mean, having the Titans smash each other and shoot big laser beams and stuff is really it's really good fun. And speaking of the Titans, there was 2 to add to the gameplay. I'll talk about the pilots as well. Titans, there's one which is fairly standard assault class. I think he was called Ion or something like that, and the other one was something to do with fire. I really didn't like the second Titan at all. He was far too slow. I understand why he's slower, because he has a sort of shotgun-like weapon, but at the same time, I felt like I was dying far too quickly, and he just wasn't as fun as the primary Titan with the sort of assault shotgun and the big laser beam coming out of his chest. But it's good that they're doing this variation. I hope that there's a lot more. I think there was a trailer of one that had a sword or something like that, so hopefully there will be a lot more variation included in that as well. In terms of pilots, there's the usual standard fare with FPSs this day where you get a special class out of one of them. There's the one that can grapple, the one that can go invisible, the one that goes fast and heals quicker, one who shoots a dagger that shoots a sonar out and stuff. And these are essential elements because it keeps the game interesting. It makes you want to try out new things. But again, like I usually do when I'm playing that kind of game, I gravitate towards a certain play style. I think the grapple with essentially in the Titan game modes was something I always used. And I used the dagger a lot in Team Deathmatch because obviously you get the highlight players in the maps. If you know where the pilots are coming in, then you're going to use something like that because it gives you a huge advantage. And I had some very tense affairs using that, close games of pilot on pilot, which brings me on to game modes. Of the 3, there was the Bounty Hunt game mode, Amped Hardpoint, as I touched upon, and Pilot v Pilot. I did like Pilot v Pilot. It was fast-paced. The fact that there's more in the actual game, I think it's 8 on 8, which makes it, these bigger maps, it makes them a bit more fun and interactive. If there's more people coming together in these gunfights, I think it would definitely be something that I would like to play, have the option to play in terms of the main selling point of the Titan gameplay, which of course was in Titan or Amped Hardpoint. In Amped Hardpoint, I did like it, and I think it's a good spin on that game mode, but it was more like domination. I felt you amp things so that if you stay on them and control them and defend them, then you get more. I think it speeds up your point progression in the map. Again, I thought this was really fun. I like the Titans. This was the main mode where it made the most sense. And then Bounty Hunt, I wasn't so keen on. This seemed to be the one that everybody gravitated towards, and I think it's because they put it first in the UI, which I hope they sort that out because I don't want that being the main game mode because it's not that fun. Just wave defense while other people are playing against you, and they can steal your money off you, which I thought, sometimes I would make like a lot of money and another actual player would steal my money, and it would make me very very angry. But the novelty for me, it just wasn't there, or it went very quickly. So I hope there's more concentration on other game modes, obviously like domination or like Titan on Titan / types of team deathmatch. But I found it fun. Apart from that, I think there were some problems in balancing the grappling hook I had. I think the grappling hook was probably my main grievance in my whole entire playthrough because it just felt like it killed some of the momentum sometimes where you're using it, because there's a drop off that happens when you're grappling onto things, so you don't go straight towards things sometimes, and you end up clattering into walls and stuff, and it's very awkward, and sometimes people can take advantage of you not being able to move that. And I hope that they maybe change it so that when you aim straight towards something, that you go straight and there isn't as much of a bend in terms of chaining your movement, because sometimes it can be very aggravating going into walls and stuff. It's just something I feel like they need to work on. Apart from that, gunplay is good, solid. I felt like, when I aimed at something, I was hitting the target, and that was, that's important. You obviously have your SMGs, your assault rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles. You know how these control if you've played an FPS before. This is nothing new here, but I felt the sniper rifle, which I never really gravitate towards. There's some issues there, definitely. They need to control how you move it. I felt very sluggish when you're moving the actual ridicule around. I thought they need to change that so it's a bit more accessible for people, because it feels very, very slow. But apart from that, yes, the gameplay, I thought, if those were the issues, I think they've sorted them out very, very well. And hopefully there's just a wee bit more balancing and tweaking out. I'm not the most technical, I'm not a game developer, so I obviously can't really go in depth in terms of those balancing issues, and I'm assuming that will be a few months of work for them. The other aspect of it is, of course, technical, and that's really what this was about. Making sure that the servers were working correctly, that people were matchmaking correctly as well. You weren't entering matches late, which can always be very, very annoying in FPSs. And I only experienced 2 crashes over the weekend, and I would say about 80% of my matches I was going into new matches instead of joining one late, which is always, I don't enjoy that. Sometimes you join a match and you're in a team that is just completely losing, and it's just like, why am I even? I'm not going to be able to make any difference here. This is absolutely pointless. But overall, I think it worked really, really well, and there wasn't a lot of frame rate issues at all when there was a lot of mechs on screen, a lot of pilots on screen, a lot of particle effects going off, a lot of Titans exploding, etc. It kept going, and obviously when you've got people coming off different internet connections and stuff, it ran very smoothly, and I can't really complain about that at all. In terms of just the future for this product as well, I think that's an important thing to talk about. I think, EA obviously have commissioned Respawn to, give out the maps again for free, which I think is a really, really good idea, just because they lost their player base so quickly before. I have nothing against if they give away old maps from the first one that people, new people didn't get to play the first time around. I think that'd be a really good idea. Obviously, it puts a lot of pressure off the team that are working on this, and it makes it a bit more, it makes it easier to earn money for the company, you know what I mean, instead of, hedging all of the the rest of this workforce on creating maps. And also they're obviously going to be doing some kind of DLC, and I hope it's mainly just down to, visual, weapon skins, player cards, all that kind of stuff. I'm not too bad with those things as long as the player base know what they're buying. I don't want any of these RNG, special packs that are just encouraging kids to gamble. If that happens in this game, it's really, really going to annoy me. And I hope that they're very honest about this DLC, paid DLC stuff, because it's really important this day, because we're getting a lot of companies just lying in our faces. Overall, if this game gets a solid campaign, it gets good support, I would see this as a very, very worthy purchase come this Christmas. Obviously, this is the slot that it's going for. It is competing internally against Battlefield, but it is more competing against Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Let's be honest about this. Call of Duty has obviously been capitalizing off the whole futuristic element, and Titanfall 2 is here this Christmas. I would say that I would be more inclined to buy Titanfall over Call of Duty, 100%. And I hope that Respawn and EA do a serviceable job. Not a serviceable, an absolutely brilliant job of keeping this game relevant, because I enjoyed it. I had really good fun. I think they just need to neaten out and iron out some of the abilities. Grapple and hook I had a lot of issues with, as you could tell earlier in the review, but I thought this was really good, and I might buy it this Christmas. I'm not too sure. Anyway, my name is Joel. If you liked the video, maybe give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, put a thumbs down. You can leave a comment, subscribe, who knows. and you can catch me on all my links. I'll put a wee link at the end of the video here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you for my next video. Might not be about games, could be about anything. Anyway, see you later.